That's right, many stablecoins will be banned from doing business in the US unless something changes. We're talking about USDT, Ripple, BUSD, DAI, and so many other stablecoins. And in this video, I'll explain exactly why this is happening and how to protect your wallet. I'll even show you how you can take advantage of this as an opportunity to make some money. As you know, we live in a time where changes are happening rapidly, and these changes can make or break your financial future. This is why it's so important to stay informed by subscribing to this channel, click the like button on this video, and share this video with a friend who needs to hear this. With that said, let's get started. Let's go back to the Genius Act a little bit. So the Congress enacted a major federal regulatory framework that imposes strict rules on how stablecoins will work in the future, who can issue them, and when and where compliant ones can be offered. So some of the core points of the Genius Act is that only permitted payment stablecoin issuers will be able to issue stablecoins within the US. You can still have stablecoins outside, but they will not be PPSI for the US. They're not going to be registered, and they're going to be seriously constrained from doing business here, and I'll go into that in a minute. They also have to have like 100% reserve backing held in safe asset like US dollar, short-term treasuries, in segregated account, meaning that they can't be basically commingling funds with other kinds of assets or securities. Issuers can't pay interest or yield on the stable coins themselves. They need transparency. That means monthly disclosure of reserves, audits, have compliance with AML, the Anti-Money Laundering, the Bank Secrecy Act, as well as the KYC, Know Your Customer kind of rules. So they want to make this like a serious financial product. The compliance is going to be phased in over about 3 years, and then after that we're going to have some form of enforcement of these rules. You're still going to be able to have foreign stablecoin issuers, but they're going to have a lot of constraints. But there's a path, they would be able to do this if there is some kind of reciprocity, if the country that they are issuing the stable coins from have similar rules as the Genius Act, and then they may register with the OCC and hold reserve in a US bank, US financial institution, to support any kind of like US liquidity demand. So if I'm a user of a foreign stable coin and I need to basically convert it to fiat money, US dollar fiat money, then I want to be able to do that, and I want to make sure, the government wants to make sure that there is the liquidity here to do this. Now, non-compliance will bring enforcement, so that could be penalties, that could be basically a complete ban, that could also be for much bigger things than that. And after a certain deadlines, then these stablecoins will be completely banned from US exchanges, service providers, merchants, banks, everything. They're just going to be not going to be able to do business here in a normal way. It's assuming that this whole stable coins is going to be used like very frequently in the normal environment in actual transaction. So if you don't know what stable coin is, so it's basically a type of digital asset that's pegged to a fixed amount of money, normally like $1. And unlike Bitcoin or Ethereum, the value of the stable coin doesn't fluctuate, so it stays the same because it's meant to be used for payments, for transactions, for settlement of all kinds of different transactions. So you have to think of it as a digital dollar, except that it's a digital dollar that is issued by a private issuer, the PPSI, not by the central bank. Now the thing is that, why does this matter, right? The whole idea of cryptocurrency was to have peer-to-peer transaction, right? That was the idea. So if Alice and Bob both trust StableX, right? This is a non-approved US stablecoin, or a stablecoin that has US dollar parity, and they agree to transact in it, they can still do so, and they will still be able to do it even with the Genius Act being fully enforced and all the rules being there. But there won't be any ban on holding or transacting in stable coins or any other coins for that matter. But what's going to happen in practice is that all the regulated intermediaries will be constrained. So if you have an exchange, a crypto exchange that wants to work in the US, the US government, in order to certify that exchange, they're going to say, well, you need to be able to accept only the US certified compliant stablecoins. If you have custodians of money, if JP Morgan wants to hold stablecoins for their clients or for themselves, then the government is going to say you can only be the custodian of funds that are in compliant stablecoin and other compliant digital asset. Same thing goes for wallets, same thing goes with payment processors and merchant and that are regulated and want to deal, if they want to deal with regulated capital. So what's going to happen is that over time, with market acceptance, everything is going to converge toward the Genius compliant stablecoin, right? So that means that all these other stablecoins, they're not going to be viewed as valuable, as liquid, and it's just going to be so much better to work with US compliant stablecoins than to work with non-US compliant. So eventually that's what's going to happen. You can still, even at that time, you can still do transaction in any kind of other stable coins you want or any other kind of coins you want, or tokens you want. But it's going to be so much easier to do it with US compliant stable coins. Now, so that brings the question: so which stable coins are safe to hold and use right now? Where should I put my money? I mentioned earlier that USDT is probably in trouble, that DAI is probably not going to be a stable coin that's going to be compliant. BUSD, etc. So what kind of stable coins are safe to hold and use in the US? So let's look at USDC. It's done by Circle. So it's already aligned with many of the Genius stipulations. It's fully backed by US dollars and liquid assets like US Treasuries. It already is doing all the transparency that's necessary, and currently they're actually pushing for to get a charter bank called First National Digital Currency Bank, so that they can be fully regulated issuer under the new law. So they're going to be very set. So this is going to be a stable coin that is already there. It's already abiding by all the rules. So it's going to be in a good position. So this would be a good stable coin to put your money in and use for transaction. Then we have USDT, so by Tether. So this is the big one. This is the largest stable coin in the world, and this is the one that's really under pressure. And at the beginning I said that USDT might not be a compliant stable coin, and this is quite possible. And this is what's going to happen with what Tether is doing. So Tether is doing what I would call like a dual track approach. So they're going to maintain USDT globally, but under foreign issuer rules in the US. So remember, the foreign issuer rules is going to be is going to have some constraints, but they're going to be able to register with the OCC and some other organization within the US to basically issue coins, stable coins, but there's going to be some constraints associated with that. We're not exactly sure what these constraints are going to be, but they're going to be there. So they're going to go with that, but that means they're going to have to issue this USDT coin within a country that has similar rules than the US has for the compliance. So which country is that going to be? And what are they going to do about it? That's going to be something that's going to have to be determined. Otherwise, what's going to happen is that USDT is just not going to be able to do business in the US. So to prevent that, Tether is going to launch USAT, which is going to be a new stable coin that's going to be fully compliant with the US, and it's going to be made for the US market. So for USDT, the compliance gap is real. So even if they want to be a foreign issuer under the rules in the US, they're still going to have to make a lot of work in terms of the reserve. Right now, 60 to 83% of their reserves are meeting the requirements. That means the rest is going to have to be brought into the asset requirement. Are they going to do that? Well, let's see. We'll see what's going to happen. But Tether admits that they need to change reserve composition, they need to add audits, they need to do custody practices. I mean, they're the largest one in the world, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to change the reserve and the impact it's going to have on the market and the crypto market and the other currencies and assets that they hold in reserve, and then what the impact of that is going to be. So even if they can't convert to a permitted U.S. payment stable coin, it could still operate under that foreign rules. And if it can't and won't, then USDT might be banned from the U.S. That's fine, but then they would still have as a fallback position use the USDT. But we have like three years to figure this out. So there's going to be a lot of discussions around these. I think the U.S. is going to be in a position where they're gonna want to have stablecoin like USDT as part of the market. So we'll see how that works. The other one is Binance USD. So BUSD, that was done in partnership with Paxos a while back. They had a lot of regulatory issues in 2023, and then they were able to kind of like clarify all of that. But they would need to re-qualify at this point, because right now they're unable to issue additional stable coins. They would need to re-qualify, and then then they would have, if they want to be compliant, then they're gonna have to go through some additional hurdles that USDC and USAT are not gonna have to deal with. Because right now the path is not really clear, and then you also have an issue with the public confidence in BUSD. The other one that we hear a lot about is Ripple. So RLUSD, they basically, their background is more like the blockchain payment infrastructure, and they have their own XRP ledger, they have their own tokens, and this is really where they were staying, they were living, which is liquidity, stable settlement. They were not really doing stable coin. But now with the SEC, they had a lawsuit also about the token classification for XRP. Is it a security? Is it a token? What is it? Right. So this was settled earlier in 2025. Ripple paid a fine, and so the resolution of this lawsuit really clears this big issue that they had around XRP. But this is XRP. This is the token. Now, Ripple is now launched RLUSD, the Ripple USD, which is going to be a fully regulated stable coin pegged 1-to-1 to the US dollar. And I'll put in the description, there's a link to their stable coin like roadmap. So this is very interesting to read that. I recommend that you read it. So these are the big ones that I would probably recommend. Obviously, USDC is going to be the big one. I would definitely monitor Tether and with USDT and USAT and see what's happening there. And then you can also look at RLUSD as another one too. Then we have a whole bunch of algorithmic stablecoins. So what's an algorithmic stablecoin? So instead of having the stablecoin issuer having reserve in the back that are like US dollars and treasuries and stuff like that, something that's solid, other asset, external physical asset. Instead of having that, what the algorithmic stable coins are basically attempting to do is mimic central bank monetary policy, but with code. So they still want to maintain that one-to-one pegging of the dollar to the stable coin. But how they do that is by doing market incentive, people to kind of buy into increasing the demand of the stable coin, using collateral, using all kinds of supply demand adjustments by doing all kinds of different market incentives. So they're trying to work a certain way by issuing more tokens, pulling some tokens out of the market, and then to kind of make sure that this pegging stays pretty close. So that's a lot of work to be done. This obviously doesn't meet the requirement for compliance for the Genius Act. So I think that this one, if you are using that for transaction and stuff like that, this is probably something that you would want to avoid right now, unless you have some other reasons for doing it. I mean, this was a great idea, but if you look at the AI too, like it's not always one-to-one, so it fluctuates a little bit. Now, what should you do about it? So the focus here is that we are using these stablecoin for payment, for transaction, right? So this is what you should be focusing on. This is not, you're not going to have a return on this investment. So there's no upside in going and, oh, I'm going to buy USDC now, or I'm going to buy Ripple. There's no, because your $1 US is still going to be $1 US. That's the whole point of this thing. So there's no return, and they don't pay interest or yield on that. So the whole thing is that it's really about making sure that you're using the right stablecoin to park your money, to wait for transactions, or to do any kind of transaction and payment. So your focus then should be on looking at where all your tokens or stable coins are right now that you're planning to do some kind of transaction with, and you want to make sure that you allocate these and make sure that they stay safe. So that means right now, that means USDC, USAT, and USDT as well, but that's going to be the one. You can, if you already have money in BUSD and Ripple USD, then maybe you can leave them there. That's fine. I would probably rebalance and kind of like move away from the algorithmic stable coins like the AI and bring them into a compliant stable coin like USDC or USCT. Stable coins, they can't pay interest, so this is just for transaction basis. Stable coins will make it easier for people to hold their money in a crypto wallet. So that means that, which in turn, that means that these people that are not currently on the market, there's going to be some inflow of money into the crypto market. And then they might decide to do transactions there, or they might decide to invest in other crypto assets as well. So there's going to be an influx of money. So once they move their money into the crypto market, it's going to be easier for them to go into Bitcoin, to go into Ethereum, to do more transactions. So all these projects, or all these companies that are involved in this, involved in doing transactions for a fee, these would be good companies to invest in terms of the cryptocurrency. So if you're looking to take advantage of this law outside of the crypto market, this is what you could look at. On the stock market side, you could invest in regulated and financial institutions who are already kind of like pushing, and they're already on board with crypto and stablecoins. So I'm talking about JP Morgan, for example, who is already testing JPM coin. There's also like State Street, BNY Mellon, and other banks that are custodial banks. JP Morgan as well is going to be a custodian of these cryptocurrencies. So they're on the stock market, so you could invest in these companies because they're going to have an influx of money, and they're going to be able to, generate additional revenue with that. Anything that's bank affiliated fintechs like Sophie and Zelle and all kinds of things like that, projects like that or companies like that, they would benefit from that as well. Now, these stable coins, again, their reserve needs to be in US dollars, or they need to be in US treasuries. So US dollars, that means going to be an increased demand in US dollar. And then what's going to happen is that this is going to push the US dollar up. That's also going to increase the demand for US treasuries. That means that it's going to decrease the yield. That means it's going to decrease the short-term interest rate on credit cards and some business loan and stuff like that. And eventually that could, add fuel to the stock market. And basically that means like it's cheap money that would be available for people that want to invest in business, that want to invest in the stocks on margins and stuff like that. So that would push the stock market up. That would also push inflation up, because we would have more, it would feel like we have more cash, more currency in the market that's going to be growing the market. So that's kind of what I'm seeing there. So I would expect more inflation, stock market to go up, short-term interest rate to also go down. The other one is around the enterprise fintech integrators. So all the DeFi on-ramps, all the SaaS payments, all these things that are going to do a build B2B or B2C platform. This is also going to be helping with, it's going to grow their business. Visa, these credit card companies, they're going to have some challenges because some of these things are actually going to replace a lot of the services that they're providing. So this could be a challenge for them, but we'll see how that goes. And then we're going to go into something completely like real estate. So as inflation goes up, one of the best ways to protect your purchasing power is by investing in real estate rentals and using long-term mortgage. And the reason for this is that you're basically borrowing money today, but you're paying it back with less purchasing power in the future because the inflation is eroding the value of the dollar. So this is a great way to fight inflation, protect your purchasing power, and actually improve your purchasing power. So the inflation will make houses less affordable for people because the inflation often goes faster than the salary increase. And right now we're going into a recession where we have a lot more layoffs. We're going to have a higher unemployment rate. So that means that houses are going to be less affordable. A lot more people are going to be pushed towards rental. That means that it's going to be good to have a rental property. So this is what I'm doing to protect my investment and grow my wealth is invest in real estate. I also have things in the stock market and in crypto. But really, the majority of my money is in real estate. So if you want to invest with me, I have a link in my description below, and you can download my investor game plan. I show you exactly what you need to do if you want to get started investing in real estate. You can also book a call with me and we can discuss your situation and see how I can help you get started in real estate, or if I can help you get invested in real estate. So this is an option as well. But this is where the bulk of my money is because I'm seeing a lot of inflation coming in, and the best way to protect yourself against inflation and actually increasing your purchasing power is with real estate along with a long-term mortgage. If this story is of interest to you, if you liked it, I'm going to continue to monitor the story around the stablecoins and how things are developing over the next few months. I'll keep you up to date on that and other stories that are developing. If you don't want to miss it, make sure you subscribe to my channel, click that notification bell, and make sure you like this video as well. That really helps me and the algorithm for other people that want to find me, and if you find this information useful. And share this video with a friend, that'd be great. And in the meantime, see you next time.